You wake up. Your mouth feels like you slept with a handful of sawdust in it. Thick, sticky, uncomfortable. You reach for water on the nightstand, rinse, and think nothing of it. Just another morning. Getting older, right? I need you to stop right there. Because that thought, that dismissal, that 5-second decision to move on and ignore it, that might be one of the most consequential mistakes you make this year. Dry mouth in the morning is one of those symptoms that people explain away. And I know that sounds almost laughable. Dry mouth. Not a heart attack, not chest pain, not a lump somewhere alarming. Dry mouth. But stay with us, because by the time we finish today, you are going to look at that morning dryness completely differently. There is a chain reaction happening inside your body when this occurs. And it starts long before you open your eyes. Understanding it won't just make your mornings more comfortable. It could protect you from pneumonia, from infections that spread into your bloodstream, from losing teeth you've kept for 70 years, from a decline that nobody saw coming because everyone was looking somewhere else while the real problem was hiding in plain sight. This isn't a minor inconvenience, it's your body waving a red flag. If you're new here, welcome to Health is Golden, where we cover the health topics that actually matter, explained clearly and without the jargon. Hit subscribe right now and turn on notifications so you never miss a video that could change how you protect your health. Today, we're going to show you exactly what dry mouth means, what's causing it, and what to do about it. Let's start at the very beginning, what saliva actually does, and why it matters more than you know. Most people have completely taken saliva for granted their entire lives. Nobody wakes up thinking about it. Nobody goes to their annual physical and asks their doctor how their saliva is doing. It's just there. It's always been there. And like most things that are always just there, people don't notice it until it's not. Most people assume saliva is basically just watered down spit, something your mouth makes so food doesn't stick to your teeth. That assumption is wrong in about 15 different ways. Saliva is one of the most biologically sophisticated fluids your body produces. It is a highly engineered biological solution that your body manufactures continuously, around the clock, in dedicated glands specifically designed for this one purpose. And what it does is remarkable. It fights. Your saliva is packed with antimicrobial compounds, proteins called immunoglobulins, enzymes like lysozyme and lactoferrin, peptides working in concert to identify and neutralize bacteria, viruses, and fungi before they get a foothold anywhere. This is not passive. This is active biological defense happening continuously in your mouth without you giving it a single thought. Every time you swallow, and you do it hundreds of times a day without thinking, you are sweeping a wave of biological security through your mouth and sending pathogens straight into the acid environment of your stomach where they get destroyed. Without enough saliva, that sweep doesn't happen. The bacteria don't get moved along. They stay, they multiply. They establish colonies, it begins digestion. There are enzymes in saliva, amylase being the most significant skiqui, that start breaking down carbohydrates the moment food enters your mouth. Before it even reaches your stomach, the process has already begun. When saliva is low, that process is disrupted from the very first bite. For older adults, where nutrient absorption is already something to watch carefully, that disruption at the very beginning matters more than most people realize. It protects your teeth. After you eat, acid levels in your mouth rise. Bacteria produce acid as a byproduct of consuming food particles. Your enamel, the hard outer coating of your teeth, is vulnerable to that acid. Saliva buffers it, neutralizes the acidity, and gives your teeth a fighting chance. Without adequate saliva, that acid lingers against your enamel, and that sustained acid contact is what begins the process of decay. And here is the most important thing of all. Saliva is what allows you to swallow safely. Try it right now. Just swallow. Notice how smooth that is. Notice how your saliva coats everything and allows it to move in a coordinated, controlled way. That is not accidental. That is engineering. Now imagine trying to swallow a piece of dry bread, a bite of chicken, or a handful of granola in a mouth that has been dry for 8 straight hours. The food doesn't form that cohesive, lubricated bundle. It breaks apart. It becomes unpredictable. And that unpredictability, as we'll explain in a moment, is where the real danger lives. The medical term for chronic dry mouth is xerostomia. And it's not just a description of how you feel. It is a measurable reduction in salivary output that leaves your mouth without its primary defense system. Every night that you sleep with your mouth drying out, you are sleeping without your guard. Your oral environment shifts from a carefully balanced ecosystem to something closer to an uncontrolled biological experiment, where the most aggressive, damaging species take over because the thing that was keeping them in check has disappeared. That sticky morning feeling isn't just unpleasant, it is the evidence. It is the physical proof that your defenses were down all night. Has this already changed how you think about dry mouth? Drop a comment below and tell us, did you know saliva did all of this? Just type yes or no. We read every single comment. What's actually causing it? Here is something important to understand. It is almost never just one thing. It's almost always a combination, a kind of perfect storm of factors that stack on top of each other and amplify each other's effects. And when you hear them, we think you're going to recognize yourself in at least one or two of them, maybe more. The biggest culprit for most adults over 60 is medication. Not one medication specifically, but the accumulation of medications. There are over 500 commonly prescribed drugs that list dry mouth as a known side effect. 500. Blood pressure medications, antihistamines, antidepressants, anti-anxiety medications, muscle relaxants, medications for bladder control, medications for Parkinson's disease, certain pain medications, some diabetes drugs, diuretics of multiple varieties. The list goes on far longer than most people expect. And here's what makes it genuinely complicated. Each of those medications on its own might produce only mild dryness. A slight reduction in output you might not even notice consciously. But when you're taking 3, 4, 5, sometimes 10 or more together, and that is not unusual for adults in their 60s, 70s, and 80s, those effects don't just add up. They compound. They layer. They interact in ways that your prescribing doctors, who often see you for different specialties in different offices on different days, may not be tracking as a unified picture. Think of it like a factory where the order forms keep getting lost, the supply deliveries keep getting delayed, and half the workers have been sent to other departments. The machinery is there, the capacity is there, but the instructions aren't arriving consistently. Production slows to a fraction of what it should be. Maybe you've noticed something like this yourself without connecting the dots. You'd been on a medication for years and your mouth felt fine. Then a new prescription got added for something unrelated. And gradually, not overnight, mornings started feeling different. Drier, stickier. That gradual onset is one of the reasons it goes unnoticed. Dry mouth sounds so minor that nobody puts it at the top of their list of things to report. But it belongs there. It absolutely belongs there. The second major cause is how you're breathing at night. During sleep, you should be breathing through your nose. Your nasal passages filter incoming air, warm it to body temperature, and humidify it. By the time air that enters through your nose reaches your throat and lungs, it has been processed and conditioned. Your mouth bypasses all of that. If you're breathing through your mouth during sleep, whether because of nasal congestion, a deviated septum, allergies, or something more significant like obstructive sleep apnea, then for 7 or 8 hours every night, dry, unfiltered air is moving continuously across every wet surface in your mouth. Imagine leaving a shallow dish of water out on a breezy windowsill on a dry day and coming back 8 hours later to find it nearly evaporated. That is essentially what is happening inside your mouth. Sleep apnea deserves specific mention here. People with untreated obstructive sleep apnea mouth breathe not just by preference, but because their airway is periodically collapsing during sleep. If you snore heavily, wake up frequently at night, feel unrefreshed regardless of how long you slept, or someone has observed you stopping breathing during sleep, the dry mouth you're experiencing in the morning may be one signal among several that something significant is happening while you sleep. That deserves evaluation. The third cause is direct, a condition actively affecting your body that needs its own attention. Diabetes is probably the most common and most important example. When blood sugar is not well controlled, the salivary glands are not exempt. High glucose levels affect the microvascular blood supply to gland tissue, reducing the resources available for saliva production. The saliva that is produced may itself have elevated glucose levels, which is essentially serving bacteria a ready meal right inside your mouth. Reduced saliva quantity, potentially altered saliva quality, and a food source for pathogenic bacteria, all happening simultaneously. If you have diabetes and you are waking up with a dry mouth, those two facts are connected and both deserve closer attention from your care team. Sjogren's syndrome is another condition that gets missed far more often than it should be, and the gap between when people develop symptoms and when they receive a correct diagnosis can be years, sometimes a decade or more. It is an autoimmune condition where the body's own immune system begins attacking its moisture-producing glands. The salivary glands and the tear glands are the primary targets. The result is persistent dry mouth and dry eyes that don't respond to the usual fixes, because the problem isn't hydration or environment. It is the glands themselves being damaged. Sjogren's is more common in women, particularly in the years around and after menopause, though it affects men as well. If your dryness is persistent, if it doesn't meaningfully respond to hydration or humidity changes, if you also have consistently dry eyes, or if you have joint pain or fatigue alongside these symptoms, a conversation with your doctor about autoimmune evaluation is worth having. Other conditions that directly impair salivary function include Parkinson's disease, rheumatoid arthritis, and other systemic inflammatory conditions, nerve damage from surgery or radiation treatment to the head and neck area, and conditions that affect immune regulation. In each of these cases, the dry mouth is not the real problem. It is the messenger. And the message is that something deeper needs to be addressed. And then there are the daily habits that quietly accelerate everything else. Dehydration is more prevalent in older adults than almost any other population, and not because of willful neglect. The thirst mechanism, the signal that tells your brain you need water, becomes genuinely less reliable as you age. You can be meaningfully, measurably dehydrated and feel no strong urge to drink. Your body is running low and simply not sounding the alarm the way it once did. Alcohol deserves a direct mention here because its effect is twofold. It is a diuretic, meaning it causes your kidneys to excrete more fluid than you're consuming. But it also has a local drying effect on oral tissues. If you have a drink most evenings and then sleep for 8 hours, you are going into that night already somewhat dehydrated, with already reduced salivary function, and then adding 8 hours of sleep to the equation. The cumulative effect on what you wake up feeling is significant. Tobacco use damages salivary gland tissue directly over time. Caffeine is a mild diuretic, and highly salted or acidic foods create an oral environment that saliva normally works to correct, but can't when it's already reduced. This is exactly the kind of information that never makes it into a routine doctor's appointment. If this video is useful to you, share it right now on Facebook and tag someone who needs to hear this. One share could genuinely make a difference. What happens when this goes uncorrected? This is the part that changes everything. This is where that inconvenient morning symptom reveals what it's actually connected to. The most immediately dangerous consequence is aspiration pneumonia. Aspiration pneumonia is a pulmonary infection that occurs when material from the mouth, food particles, liquid, or even saliva itself is inhaled into the lungs rather than swallowed into the esophagus. The two passages begin very close together at the back of your throat. Every time you swallow, a coordinated sequence of muscular events has to occur in precise order to direct material down the right path. When saliva is insufficient, the material being swallowed is less cohesive, less predictable, and more prone to going the wrong direction during that split-second transition. In a young person with fast reflexes and a powerful cough, material that starts going the wrong way usually triggers an immediate and effective cough response that clears it. As we age, that cough reflex slows. Swallowing coordination becomes slightly less precise. The safety margins get smaller, and when a food particle or droplet of contaminated saliva does make it into the lungs, the infection that results can be severe. This is one of the leading causes of hospitalization and death in adults over 65. Not a remote possibility, a leading cause. And chronic dry mouth is a direct, modifiable risk factor sitting at the beginning of that chain. The second consequence is what happens inside the mouth itself over months and years of inadequate salivary protection. Dental decay in the setting of dry mouth is not the same as ordinary cavities. The rate is faster. The location is different, often at the gum line and on root surfaces rather than the chewing surfaces most people associate with cavities. And the extent can be shocking. People who have had perfectly healthy teeth for decades can experience severe decay within 1 to 2 years of developing significant xerostomia. The enamel that saliva was continuously remineralizing stops being repaired. Bacteria producing acid are no longer being swept away or suppressed. The conditions for rapid, aggressive decay are perfect. From there, the consequences move beyond the mouth. Gum disease thrives in a dry oral environment. Those bacteria trigger inflammation in the gums that breaks down tissue and eventually the bone underneath. Teeth that have been stable for a lifetime can begin to loosen, and inflamed gum tissue is not a sealed barrier. A bleeding gum margin is a doorway. Bacteria from your mouth enter the bloodstream, and once they're in circulation, they travel. Research has linked oral bacteria to cardiovascular disease for decades. Specific pathogens have been found in arterial plaque. Chronic inflammation from untreated gum disease affects markers throughout the body associated with heart attack and stroke risk. Oral bacteria have also been linked to cognitive decline. This isn't fringe science. These are serious investigations. And at the start of all of it is a mouth that isn't properly protected. In the most severe cases, a dental or gum infection can spread deeper into the head and neck or even trigger sepsis, the body's catastrophic response to infection, a medical emergency with high mortality even with treatment. We don't share this to frighten you. We share it to show you the full picture, because what starts as a minor morning symptom can set off a chain of consequences that are anything but minor. How far it goes depends on choices you make today. Dry mouth also quietly changes everyday life in ways people rarely connect to the same root cause. Chewing becomes uncomfortable. Swallowing requires focus. Meals become a source of anxiety. People stop eating foods that require real chewing. Steak, raw vegetables, apples, dense bread, and shift to softer processed foods. Over time, protein drops, fiber drops, vitamins and minerals become inadequate, muscle mass declines, fall risk increases, immune function weakens, and then there's the social impact. Persistent bad breath can make people withdraw. They avoid close conversation, eat alone, decline invitations. Social isolation quietly develops, and it is entirely preventable. We're nearly at the end. And if this video has already changed how you see this symptom, hit the like button right now. It costs you nothing and it helps us reach more people who need this information. What you can do when starting today. Hydration is fundamental, but not in large gulps. Salivary glands respond to steady hydration. Small sips throughout the day keep them working. Keep water by your bedside. Sip before sleeping and on waking. Carry a bottle during the day. If you're over 65, don't rely on thirst. Use reminders. Your thirst signal is no longer reliable enough to guide you. Oral hygiene must compensate for the reduced saliva. Use a soft toothbrush and fluoride toothpaste. Brush gently for at least 2 minutes twice a day. Use a tongue scraper every morning. Floss nightly. Avoid alcohol-based mouthwashes. They dry your mouth further. Instead, rinse with half a teaspoon of salt in warm water for 45 seconds. Chewing sugar-free gum or xylitol mint stimulates saliva and reduces harmful bacteria. Crunchy, fibrous foods like apples, celery, or carrots provide similar benefits. Your sleeping environment matters. A cool mist humidifier reduces overnight dryness significantly. If you mouth breathe or have sleep apnea, speak with your doctor. Treating it improves oral health in ways that nothing else can fully compensate for. Gentle massage of your parotid and submandibular glands, the large salivary glands in front of your ears and beneath your jaw, in the morning and before meals can encourage saliva flow. Daily habits add up. Alcohol, smoking, caffeine, processed or salty foods, acidic drinks, all contribute to dryness. Consistently moderating these makes a real, cumulative difference over time, and professional guidance is essential. Speak with your dentist about salivary assessment, gum health, early decay detection, and prescription options. Speak with your physician about medications that may be reducing your saliva, and whether alternatives or timing adjustments are possible. If dry mouth persists after consistent effort, prescription interventions are available, including medications to stimulate saliva, prescription strength fluoride, and advanced artificial saliva formulations. Your saliva is one of your body's most capable defenders. It protects your teeth, your gums, and your overall health. What starts in your mouth affects your lungs, your heart, your blood, your brain, and your quality of life. Every morning when you reach for that glass of water, your body is telling you something real. Now you know what it means. And now you know what to do about it. Here's what we need you to do right now. 3 things. 1. Drop a comment below and tell us, did you ever imagine dry mouth could be connected to all of this? Just share your reaction. Every comment get read and we want to hear from you. 2. Share this video on Facebook and tag someone you care about, especially anyone over 60 who wakes up reaching for water every morning. You might be giving them something far more valuable than they realize. 3. Subscribe to Health is Golden and turn on your notifications. We post new videos every week, the health information that matters most, explained clearly, the way it deserves to be. Your health is worth that attention. And so is the health of the people you love. This is Health is Golden. Listen to your body. It's always telling you something.